Hello everyone, in the new installment of 52 weeks of tarot, my practice for 2026, when each week I'm going through one of my tarots, building connections, seeing how they work, and giving them a chance to shine for a week. This is going to be the review of February. In this month I managed to use 4 decks. And let's start with saying that that month was not really easy for me when it comes to my health issues. So I was struggling quite a bit, so the practice got quite minimized, and at the same time it was a little bit here and there. So it was not exactly how I wanted it to go, but that's what it needed to be for this month. I keep to the most basic ways I want to work with decks this year, which means one of the practices is every day I pull a card and use a guidebook coming with this deck to go deeper into meaning of the card from that deck. So I have just small space, so it's not very demanding on me, and it works really well as part of my morning practice. Another part is my weekly spread when I'm pulling cards for the coming week with the deck, and then throughout the week, each day as my morning practice, I go a little bit deeper into this spread, going with another question, pulling another card, and picking different elements and going deeper with them. Like this, I can connect this weekly theme more with my daily life within this week and really see how this works. This month, it was not really easy to do this practice always in the morning. Sometimes it was impossible, so I was just trying to make it fit within my day. Sometimes I was just catching up on a few days back, since it was just impossible to do it on a day. So going now into the decks that I used, then I also, when preparing for this video, I realized that a lot of them are quite nudity heavy, so I had to spend some time preparing them so I can show you guys, so the algorithm of YouTube is not screaming at me for showing some art to you. So the first deck gonna be a French deck that is very well known. Mine is edged in green. It's Le Tarot aux Ramures étranges, or the Tarot of the Strange Antlers or Branches. It comes with additional cards with below and above. It's also one of the decks that I have for quite a while, multiple years already in my collection, and it got a little bit pushed in the back, not used so often. I can also see that it's slowly changing the way it's coming into my practice compared to how it was used first when it arrived. It was also very chatty deck. It really wanted to talk, it wanted to pull a lot of cards, it wanted to go deeper into certain topics. It was like really wanted to speak. It has this message coming through no matter what kind of readings I was going about. A lot of it was about confidence, about self-love, about finding your own power, working more with a body than anything else. It was also like this call of creating life that we truly desire. It was a really beautiful practice. Also for pairing it, which I just realized that I did not prepare this oracle in a way that is safe to show. So let's see, is there any card that I can show with it? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, this might pass. So the oracle that I use is the Red Seed Oracle by Linda Hill. It features different goddesses, women throughout the different mythologies. It's coming with one core message in the front, and then if you flip it around, it has a little bit of information about that woman, but also the challenge, the gift, the little quote from depending which part of the deck it is. It can come from 3 different people. Of course, right now I'm zoning out. One is Rumi, one is Sappho, and also Marion Woodman. Here we go. So this was working very well as this one core message, and then going deeper into it with the tarot. It was really beautiful practice that really grounded me into myself and how I can work on my confidence and on reclaiming my power and feeling that I can trust myself. And I think it's especially important in the moment you are dealing with chronic illness, because it really feels like you cannot depend on your body and you cannot depend on yourself. So it's very easy to get really disconnected, get really angry, and this way I could really come back to myself. Continuing in this theme, the next week I moved to another very nudity heavy deck. So it's Abyssal Tarot. It has this beautiful, sensual, very intuitive way of being. For me, it's a very watery deck. Yes, it's underwater deck, but it just touches certain emotions, certain like feelings within self. It was also really wanting to talk about self-expression, about, again, confidence, power. This is like for me very strongly associated with the lover's archetype. I really work a lot with archetypes, and having a deck that is strongly one archetype is very interesting because you can really go deeper into it. But it's lover in this way of sensual, to flirt with life, create, express yourself. A lot of messages that were coming off where it can be the showgirl, the one that comes out of your own shell and show your true self to the world and explore what it means for you to be right now self, because this is changing. So it was again like continuation of this energy, but like the Tarot of Strange Antlers is for me more of this energy of the virgin, but not in the sense of how virgin is portrayed by Christianity, but more this virgin of this pure energy of bliss, joy, and exploration. Is this like childlike energy, but also a bit of like Artemis, if you would present among the goddesses. So wild, unhinged, it cannot be tamed. It doesn't go with this feeling, oh, we have to be there for others, we don't have to be objects, we are not having these feelings, we are not having this exploration of sexual energy as being for the other, but the sexual energy within us and how it comes out into the world. And here we're going back to the sexual energy now can express itself also in the relationship to others. So in this week, especially, it was also a week of Valentine's Day. I don't really celebrate it, but still it's very present in the world. So having this deck that also talks a little bit about relationship, how to relate to the other, how to express yourself towards the other, how to find confidence to be yourself in the relationships. It was a very beautiful experience. What I was using as a deck with it for the oracle, if I wanted to use one, because to be honest, I found myself not reaching a lot for oracles and not pairing a lot those decks with different things because it was just too much. So it's a Magick of You oracle. It was going into this really raw energy, and they speak with each other very beautifully. It was really touching experience, allowing me to slow down and look within myself for certain themes and exploring them a little bit deeper. For another week, we are moving to still very nudity heavy, to the the fact that I had to just find this much cards, I could probably show. It's a new deck from Linda Hill, the Redstone Tarot. It's based on alchemical and alchemical work, but also mixed with Jungian approach to psychology, which is something that is very strongly going in my practice. I really like using tarot for going deeper within my psyche, for going into unconscious, to working with a symbol, color. Alchemy is also something that is very present in my practice, even though I don't have enormous knowledge, which is let's say practical or theological. I'm still missing a lot of elements. I'm slowly working through it, but being a chemist myself, let's say that this is like the precursors of what I'm doing right now. It's alchemists, so it's something that is very deep for me, and I really enjoy working with those themes. So this is Redstone Tarot, and it is absolutely amazing deck, but one that really needs your attention, one that really needs your time. You have to sit down with the book. Like without a guidebook, I think this is really hard. This is not meant to, I think, be read without a guidebook. They're going deeper, going into those topics, exploring them. Also, I didn't feel like this is a deck in which I can pull multiple cards, especially not right now. But working even with one card and just going deeper into its message and then exploring it further, journal with it, this is much more the strength of this deck. It's slowing down and working through something that comes up, pops up. It was really beautiful exploration. It for sure needs quite a bit of attention, so I was a little bit struggling with it during those weeks, especially that I was not feeling the best. So it was one of those decks that I was more jumping in and out of the practice, but still follow through with it, and it was very beautiful experience. In general, I love Linda Hill's work, in sense of like her guidebooks are absolutely amazing and you can go really deep with them. I don't always resonate with the art itself, and to be honest, sometimes I had a really hard time connecting the visuals with what is in the guidebook, but it might be also that I'm not seeing certain things yet, not understanding certain things yet, and for sure it's a deck that needs a bit more work. I did not work with it previously before that week because I received it last year, end of the last year, and at the time it was absolute chaos. So I was not able to use it, but I knew that there's gonna come this week when I'm gonna play with it. So that was my first really meeting with this deck. So it can be a little bit overwhelming at first. It's a lot of things that you have to figure out, explore, maybe read a little bit more on some concepts. But it is deck that you can really sit with and explore. The oracle that I use the most with it is also oracle that I really love, also in this alchemical theme, which is the Wild Unknown Alchemy. This another deck that is really guidebook heavy. This is not something I am able to read just as it is, just put it down on the table and read with it. So it was something that demanded from me a little bit more attention, a little bit more time, slowing down again, going deeper. And it is for sure one that it's not your daily reading when you just want a quick message. It's something when you really want to go and explore something within your mind. So that's the Redstone Tarot and Alchemical, the Wild Unknown Alchemy. And the last week of the February was dedicated to a huge deck that is not so easy to handle, the Nameless One. So the Nameless One is coming as Tarot and Oracle. There is Tarot, but also added cards for Oracle. I took out the Oracle cards. I just concentrated on the Tarot, and also to make it a little bit easier on me, knowing that I don't have so much energy, was using a small guidebook that comes with a deck and not a huge grimoire that goes much more in depth into symbols, colors, messages. It's amazing creation. It's absolutely one of my favorite books that I own, but I knew that if I try, every single day read from this huge book, that's gonna be too much. So I was like trying to work with it in a little bit more intuitive, organic way, also using a small guidebook that comes with some keywords and paragraphs and the affirmation from the sigil. So it's already a good starting point. Perfect for my little practice with this little square that I have to fill. Like filling it from the big grimoire would be, very hard. It would be too little space. So it's not a deck that is very easy to identify the cards. You have to really slow down, concentrate, look at them. Some of them are easier, some of them are harder. Some of them I have to use guidebook and find what is my option, which mostly is majors and the court cards. Since the court cards are associated with different zodiac signs that are coming as masks, makes it a bit harder to spot. I can already identify from which suit the court is coming, but not always say which court it is. So it's something that needs practice. The more you use it, of course, the more you know. So it was really good to have a chance to work with it a little bit more and recognize cards in a bit easier way. It is a deck for me that is also like forever study deck, especially with the big grimoire. You can go into symbols, go into colors, go deeper into the messages. Also, it is for me this deck of working with your unconscious, especially the messages behind the sigils, is something that I could think about longer, and can I incorporate this message, this almost like advice or some kind of mantra for a day into my current day that the card was pulled. It was like this grounding experience. To be honest, I had this week, it was the hardest for me to concentrate on this practice. I was really struggling, so it was a little bit sometimes flying over my head, but this is really not the fault of the deck. This was the fault of how that week was going. But for sure, it's a deck that I want to come back to and study much more in depth and spend more time with it. One of the ways that I also spend more time with it is a deck that I pulled my Wheel of the Year from. So every month I am working with one of the cards from this deck. So like this, I have also more opportunities to work with it. For me, it's also this energy of this raw, deep in the forest hidden witch that is just playing with different elements, experimenting, putting together things. And because of that, I pair it with Lost Oracle, which for me has a very similar energy. Let's make this. So they were really speaking with each other strongly, and I really enjoy this pair. It was, I think, the pairing that I was using the most through this month. I was not pairing decks a lot, but this one, it was used almost every single day with Nameless One. I think it also because it was helping to ground this message into something that is quicker to identify, since here we have already a title and a little sentence. You can already have something to work with, and then we're going deeper into tarot. I think it was helping a little bit those messages to pop up more, to have something to concentrate on. Because to be honest, in a small guidebook, the little paragraphs that are coming, they're not exactly written in a style of how I read tarot. It was a bit more predictive, like what might be coming, kind of energy might appear in the day, and it's not exactly the way I work with tarot, so like not always the little guidebook was that useful to me. I work much more with symbols, colors, elements that appear and how they correlate with each other, how they speak to each other. So the grimoire is much more useful for that. So for sure, having this element of oracle that helps me to ground into message and then play maybe with colors, maybe with shapes, maybe with certain elements that are appearing, it was very useful to come back to the way I like to read cards. So that's all the decks that were used for February. February is a very short month. So it was 4 weeks of that practice. I'm really happy with how it goes for now. I really have a lot of fun with this practice. I can also slowly see myself letting go of certain things. So sometimes I'm already letting go of some decks before I even start working with them, as I see that I have something that I'm always gonna reach for first, and this deck is never winning against that. So now having this time and spending time with those decks and seeing that some things just resonate with me so strongly and I have so much joy working with this, and then there is something that is maybe not exactly is doing the similar job or like the same job or similar job, but I'm not reaching for it because I have something else that I really love. So I think part of that practice that is also very useful for me is truly having a time with a deck and seeing how does it really fit in my practice. Some of those decks I have already for multiple years and my practice changed in the meantime a lot. I can really see how my practice look different almost each year, as I have a lot of journals that are keeping the way my work looks. I have also a lot of different ways that it was preserved, how differently I was looking at my practice, like as spirituality, as beliefs, as what I want to do with my life. So I can see that I'm slowly moving away from certain things, and there are certain groups that are staying as a strong contenders. Okay, this is what I am using, and this is something that maybe it's been my old self, or maybe my imaginary self, or maybe I seen someone else doing it and I saw, oh, it's super cool, I would like to do that too, but in the end of the day it was not really for me. But it's harder to say it. So beautiful part of it is for sure my chance to see my decks also as a whole now for this whole year, seeing them used one by one and seeing how unique they are and maybe what new spots they might have in my practice, and maybe how they're not anymore part of my practice. So I'm kind of interested in the end of the year to see how many things would be decluttered out of those decks that I have right now. For sure, right now my speed of getting new decks is very, very slow. I'm very slow to getting anything new because I just want to spend more time with what I already have and build stronger relationship with it. Because for me, what is important is the conversations with the decks and the how we communicate. And if I don't know them very well, sometimes with certain decks it's really hard to read with them. The great example would be Nameless One. Even though the artist said herself that she intended it to be also used just as oracle, you don't have to go deeper. That's why she didn't put the titles, because you can just go with your intuition, what is popping up at you from just the illustration. So you can work with it like that. But there are decks that really need some more studying, like the Redstone. Just from the art, it's very hard to read it and really get the best out of the deck. So you need time, you need space for it, and that's what I want to also create this year: the space to explore, play with those cards, and seeing how my practice is truly right now and how can it serve the current me and not past versions of myself. So that's about in February. I'm already working with decks in March. I wasn't really able to record this before March started, so this is gonna come up also quite late. But it's already March. I'm already working with my March decks, and I can already see that like certain practices that were working for me 1 month ago, now they start to call for something else, for some change, for some difference. So I'm really happy that I can now play with my decks in March that are a bit more going with the energy, what's going on in my life right now in the nature, as this is also slowly waking up. Spring, end of winter, and we're coming more into this active, playful energy, starting seeds, and also being more in nature, enjoying more sunshine. And yeah. So thank you for being here with me, and see you next time.